This is Homebuyer Final Walkthrough Advice, a short list of 8 things to look for when you're about to close. You're conducting your final walkthrough right before you hand over probably most of your entire life savings. And then we'll briefly talk about what can go wrong at this point of a purchase. I'm Craig Power with Power Realty Advisors, serving Greater Boston and the South Shore. I wanted to give you my checklist. Chances are, if you aren't in the real estate business, you don't get to do a lot of these walkthroughs. So this is my process that I recommend to our clients. Hopefully it'll help you out. This isn't the home inspection, by the way. The final walkthrough is when you've been through the entire purchase process and you're now getting this opportunity to see the house's condition in the last few days or oftentimes the last few hours before you close. And on a basic level, you're checking that the seller has lived up to their end of the agreement. So we're gonna go through 1 through 8 on this. And of course, if you find it helpful, please subscribe. It's a way to support what I'm doing here for free. Doesn't cost you a penny. On to number 1. The first thing you're probably concerned about at the final walkthrough is any agreed upon repairs. So again, the home inspection happens earlier in the process. You may have negotiated for a few items to be fixed. Now you're checking on those items to make sure they're completed. And honestly, depending on the type of repair or who did the work, you may want to pay for a return visit from that same home inspector or a qualified contractor, someone who knows what the hell they're talking about. Hopefully the work has been done to a high standard. Pro tip, you may want to specify earlier on that a licensed contractor does any repairs like that and get receipts. I did a video about negotiating repairs after the home inspection. I'll link it here. If the seller themselves did the work, that's a reason we'd want a closer look. We don't want them cutting corners. And let's be honest, you might not be, and I even might not be capable of identifying mistakes or poor workmanship. Also in this case, I don't think I'd want the final walkthrough to take place in the hours right before closing. I'd want a longer frame of time just in the event we have a minor problem. Number 2 on my list is pretty obvious. Is it vacant per the agreement? Delivery of premises. Is all the seller's furniture gone? Is the trash gone? Is it in broom swept condition? And one thing I've learned is buyers are a lot of the time just so excited about the new house that when small things get left behind, they can sometimes be like, oh, whatever, you know, we'll figure it out. But as the agent, you occasionally have to get your back up for your clients and bring it to everyone's attention. I've had a small handful of deals where we actually had to negotiate junk removal or even a holdback of funds basically at the closing table. Number 3, now we're really getting to the meat of my checklist. I'd start with opening and closing doors and windows, garage doors too. It's a matter of both function and security. The main intent of the walkthrough is to make sure you're getting what you paid for. Most walkthroughs, one of my priorities is testing keys and garage door openers, making sure you have not only full access to the house, but you're also able to lock all points of entry when you leave. You need security and you need it right away. Number 4, we're testing faucets, toilets, water pressure, and we're looking for leaks and water in the house. In my experience, this actually can be one of those things that comes up between the inspection and closing. You know, a hurricane comes through, big storm, and suddenly we have a puddle in the basement, or there's a leak under the sink. It could be a newer thing. This is really typical home ownership stuff, but if it's enough of a problem, and obviously it didn't happen during your ownership, we're gonna wanna bring it up. Adding to the same idea, flushing toilets and making sure we're moving water around the pipes. There is a known thing with long-time vacant homes. I bought a house myself that was vacant for years, so at the walkthrough, I wanted to make sure we ran everything and didn't have a busted pipe somewhere, no obvious septic problems. The systems hadn't been tested in a long time as far as I knew. Fortunately, you know, we got good bones here. Probably shouldn't have said that. Something's gonna break now. Number 5, checking appliances. Goes hand in hand with what I was just saying. Dishwashers, garbage disposals. I pay particular attention to gas-operated stoves, gas-operated ovens. Run the laundry, washer dryer, whether gas or electric. I can tell you, you know, the laundry is pretty critical to our quality of life around here. And then number 6 is piggybacking on that same idea, checking HVAC. Heat and AC, kick them on. Check for warm air and cool air. You should have put the utilities in your name at this point. The transfer of service anyway should be set up. I mentioned gas. I don't think I've said to check water temperature yet, but your hot water heater is obviously very important too. So check water temperature, make sure your shower can get hot. Number 7, checking outlets, light switches, exhaust fans, and of course your electric utilities in general. Flip all the lights on and off. I have one of these receptacle testers I bring to walkthroughs and inspections, except in real life I forget to bring it every single time. I literally always forget to bring it. But yeah, you can go through, test anything like that, make sure electricity is not a problem for you. Now this is an important side note, okay, and this is sort of an all-encompassing message for the walkthrough. If you have a bulb that's out, or a switch that doesn't work, a connection that doesn't work, and it's been like this since the home inspection, not a new problem, keep in mind, if this wasn't highlighted at the inspection, or it was found but a repair was not negotiated at that time, this is frankly not the time and the place to negotiate. It's too late. It's highly unlikely the seller went into the walls and incorrectly rewired something that was working before. Of course, if there is like a preceding event that, something has changed and we could be detecting a larger problem, that's different. If you're not receiving the property in the agreed upon condition, that's a problem. Last year I had some sellers 5 days before closing, a crazy storm knocked their fence down, so we worked quickly to communicate that and offered a dollar amount credit to the buyers. Very easy and amicable solution. That's how it should be. Number 8, last one, very open. I remind people to check ceilings, walls, floors, exteriors, basements, garages, sheds, and woods around their house for obvious problems. Water damage, leaks, junk, nests, hives. One last diligent look at the property. Trash. It is a common practice for the seller might have some trash out front ready for pickup the next day. Very commonly not seen as a problem as long as it's organized. That's the checklist, and you might be wondering what happens when the walkthrough goes wrong. I've never had a client walk away from a deal at closing like that. It takes extreme circumstances to kill a deal at this stage. I've had plenty of deals die earlier in the process. At the walkthrough, at the closing table, I've had problems, I've had headaches, both on the buyer and the seller side. I've been a part of some contentious, smaller scale negotiations, but from where I stand, for a deal to fall apart would either take a ridiculous amount of negligence from a seller or an insane level of probably buyer's remorse from the buyer. As the buyer, listen, I believe in bargaining in good faith, okay? You don't go in looking for something new to complain about. This is not an opportunity to push leverage late in the process. That would be an unprofessional waste of everyone's time, including your own. Same with the seller. Especially today in a seller's market, this process has been pretty good to you. Now it's time to get things up to standard, or you should expect to shell out, a couple dollars to make it right. Crazy things do happen right before closing. They really do. You can't let emotion take over. If you really want to get where you're going, you need to be analytical, understand your leverage, and then communicate the right way. This is all yet another argument to work with a real estate agent who has a grip on this, okay? So I hope this video helps you to focus on what's important in your walkthrough. I also hope it puts you in the right mind space. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more real estate videos. It's free advice to make you a better real estate consumer. I love to hear from our social media audience. You can contact me anytime at craig@powerrealtyboston.com. Thanks again.